Hi everyone. You may notice that I'm not in the shop today, and that's because, well, I wanted to try something a little new. I realized I haven't spent much time at all talking about the parts that I haven't made myself. The lens, the shutter, and the rangefinder. So I thought today I would go ahead and spend some time going over it in a little bit of a casual way to kind of give you guys some information that you may not know and some recommendations for what you might want to find if you want to make your own camera. Okay, so let's start with the gold standard. This is a DSLR. Pretty much everyone's familiar with these things. In the context of this video, there's a lot to talk about, but I wanted to start with this lens. This is a 24-70 L series made by Canon. This is a very nice lens. There's one thing we need that this lens doesn't have though, and that's a shutter. The shutter is actually inside the camera body. And unfortunately, that makes it very difficult to use one of these lenses with a homemade camera. And the reasoning is with the tools I have and the skill base I have right now, I cannot make a shutter. Now, eventually I want to, but a shutter is a very complicated thing to make. And it's pretty clear that you're not going to be making your own unless you have a lot of skill, experience, and tooling. So, as a person wanting to make your own camera, you need to find a off-the-shelf shutter, so to speak. The only thing is those don't really exist. The shutter inside of this camera is part of the camera. You can't separate the two out. Nor can you really out of most cameras that use what's called a film plane shutter, aka the shutter in front of the film plane, or in this case the digital sensor. So what you need to do is you need to find a lens that has a shutter in it. That's the easiest solution to this problem. So that brings us to this guy. This is a, well, it's not a 67mm, that's for sure. This is a 210mm Nikon lens. This might look a little funny to a lot of you guys. So this is for large format cameras. This component here is a shutter. So I can actually show it to you guys. So there it is. So this component here has both the shutter and the aperture built in. Having the shutter built in is very useful. In fact, these kind of shutters actually provide a lot of advantages over a film plane shutter, especially 20 or 30 years ago. These kind of shutters were usually faster, more accurate, and something that made them a keystone in studios was the fact that you can shoot on any shutter speed with strobes or a flash. Early DSLRs and pretty much any film SLR will be limited to about 1/25th of a second when shooting with strobes. These guys you can use any shutter speed. For instance, this one goes up to 400th of a second. Now, because the shutter is inside the lens, unfortunately you're not able to use any sort of TTL functions. This camera, you focus by looking through the viewfinder. The only way that can work is if you don't have a shutter inside the lens. If you have a shutter in the lens, the shutter would have to be open in order for you to see through the lens, like it is with these guys. So since this has a film plane shutter, you can look through the lens though, and focus the image. That's one of the downfalls of a lens like this large format lens. It has no focusing built into it, nor can you see through the lens when the shutter is closed. The way these lenses are used is usually in a large format camera, where you open the lens with this knob here, go around the back where there's no film installed, focus the image on the ground glass, close the lens, and then load the film into the camera. That's a very tedious and time-consuming process. Another way to focus a lens like this is to use some non-TTL method. That means focus the lens without seeing through the lens. This is a very good example of that. This lens, while looking more conventional, actually has a very similar setup to this lens. So when you move the lens forward and backwards, the optics in the rangefinder change depending on how this lens is moved. What that means is that you can look through this rangefinder and know that an image is in focus without ever looking through the lens itself. Another way of focusing an image without looking through the lens is through zone focusing. This is the lens that I'm going to be using for this build. It's an Agfa 85mm. While this lens looks very similar to some large format lenses, it actually has one major difference. It has a built-in mechanism for focusing known as front optic focusing. This process works by balancing the aperture and focusing ring to create a zone of focus that your subject can sit in. Simply put, it's an educated guess that allows you to focus. So how this works is, let's say I know a subject is about 10 to 12 feet away. What I can do is I can set the focus on the front of the lens to a little over 10 feet. I can then crank the aperture down enough till I can know that both 10 and 12 feet are in focus. That way I know for a fact my subject is in focus. When it comes to old lenses like this, it's best to experiment with everything in hopes to learn its limits. I've used this lens for a very long time, so I have a pretty good idea of how to work it. There are ways to become more and more precise with it though, and one of those is including an external rangefinder. This is the rangefinder that I'm going to be using with this camera. And what this does is it gives me a little bit of a helping hand when focusing. How a traditional external rangefinder works is you'll have a knob on the back of the camera. Here, I'll show you on this. This is an old Russian rangefinder. On the back of here, you have a knob with distances. In order to focus an image, you would turn this knob till the image inside of this viewport is in focus. Then you would read whatever it tells you right here, and then translate that to the lens. On the last camera I made, I had a knob that would read out the numbers so that you could focus this lens. I'm not going to do that on this camera now, and I'll tell you why. This camera is for me and me alone, and that's important because, like I said before, I'm used to zone focusing. I do it all the time, and I've gotten quite good at it. The only time I'm not very good at it is when dealing with very close-up subjects. And what it is the closer you get to a subject, the narrower the depth of field is. So you have to be more accurate. What I've done is I set this rangefinder to be exactly 6 feet. And what that gives me the ability to do is I can set my lens to 6 feet. I physically move myself forward or backwards till the image inside of this rangefinder is in focus. So I set it to 6 feet, physically move my entire body till the image is in focus, and then I don't have to worry about focusing the lens either. So it's a very quick and dirty way of shooting, and I know that that's the only way I'm going to be using this rangefinder. So in this new camera, I'm just leaving the dial off completely. So I really hope some of this information has helped anyone out there who may be interested in making cameras. These are the parts that I like to use in my homemade cameras. If anyone out there uses something different, leave a comment down below to let me know. I'd be very interested in seeing what other people do. So next week I'm going to be back in the shop. We're going to start making some of the smaller components from now on. The film advance knobs and internal components, stuff like that. And what we're going to end up doing is installing these components very soon. So with that, I hope to see you guys next week.